You speak with a lot of founders and invest into a lot of founders in early stage, but are there any product or strategy mistakes you see founders repeatedly making, which, listeners, they're listening to it, what advice would you give to them?
I think that is the most important thing that we keep on seeing. In terms of strategy, again, I'm a big believer of resource allocation, right? So ultimately, if frugal businesses, boring businesses, which have clarity on what the potential spend can be, ultimately end up, potentially surviving, right? As the saying goes, cockroach businesses, right? So those businesses which can potentially try and strive, be frugal, and keep a tab on funding, I think that really helps, because frankly, anyone who's seen the cycles over the last couple of sort of years, maybe the last decade, right? Capital into this asset class is it's a mix of ups and downs, right? And eventually, for an early stage founder, you have to start fundraising, earlier than anticipated. So I think anyone who understands the expenses is a lot better. And going back to the learning is, if you're planning to raise funds, don't start when you're 6 months of runway. Start when you're 9 months of runway, right? I think that also is a very sort of important learning, because ultimately it also really impacts your ability to have a view on how to plan your business forward. If you're raising from a large fund, they might take a little bit more time to do due diligence. Sometimes holidays kick in, sometimes something else changes, and then that changes your outlook. So I think that is important. So to summarize, having a good sort of understanding on your expenses and planning better. And third, I think the fundamental question: should you hire 5 junior engineers who can do the job, or hire 2 senior engineers? But today it is very important, right? That because the kind of initial engineering that you're doing has a massive ripple effect as you go and you build a business. Because if your product requires rewiring 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the line, then you realize that, okay, you're back to square one. You got to build, you got to change, which then again sets you back. So yeah, I think trying to understand the mix of intersection of team and I think expense management is what is extremely critical.